Hello folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me once again. You're always most welcome. Well, today the new Tamiya F-35B Lightning II, but in 72nd scale. Several of you may recall 2 years ago, I think it was 22, that we had the Tamiya Lightning II, the A version, the Air Superiority Stealth Fighter. That was my kit of the year for 2022. Last year pretty much came right that far away from winning it again with the B version, this version, but in the 48 scale of course. But I couldn't really give it kit of the year because obviously a lot of the kit was just a different variant of the same kit that won the year before, so it came a close second. Now, however, I was actually given the A version in 22 as a gift in 48 scale, so I didn't buy the B version because I thought it would be too much of a replication, but I thought to buy the smaller version wouldn't be so bad if I could get it at the right price. And of course, as you may have heard already, when I was at Telford I picked this up for less than £30, which I was very impressed by. So why don't we get into it? It's not a kit, I've said before, it's not my absolute favourite aircraft, but Tamiya do such a wonderful job with the engineering on these kits that I think it's, and I've not seen one of their 72nd scale kits, I haven't really reviewed one of them for a while, so I thought it would be very interesting to have a proper look at it. So let's have a little nosy in here, and we'll zoom you in a bit, and we'll get cracking with this. So you can see it's got the, it's actually hovering, this one, it's on the USS Essex, I can tell by the markings on the tail. And it says detail scale model, pilot figures included, which is also good, and it includes a stand. It's got a stand, that's cool. Yes, there it is, look at that. Now that's proper cool. Something we definitely need to have. And they had on the 48 scale, but I didn't necessarily expect that. Obviously it's intended for the hovering position. You've got three markings. You've got the Italians, the Brits, and the US Marine Corps, Brits and the RAF in this case. So you've got it. You can have it on the ground with its lift fan door open, or with its compressed gear legs. So they've actually got different parts. That's really cool. So it's very like the bigger version, isn't it? Or you can have it hovering with the uncompressed gear leg. And around on the other side shows you the schemes, the Italian Navy, or the Royal Air Force 617, the Dambusters Squadron. Looks very interesting, so why don't we just get cracking with this and have a look at it. Now I have to warn you, as with all Tamiya kits these days, the only downside to them, maybe apart from the decals, is these damned staples that they insist on putting in all the back. So I've destapled it already, so let's just take the lid off. Nice artwork on the front, got to say. It's a full box, there's lots and lots of sprues. And they're all bagged with the usual staples, except one. I noticed that this is really unusual. One bag is actually like it's got like this crimp style to it, which is not like Tamiya normally do. That could be a change for the better. Let's hope that's a sign of things to come. You can always hope, can't you? It seems strange that they've changed that style all of a sudden, but I'm not complaining. So I do not like the staples, especially when they're anywhere near clear parts. Right, so lots to see. I think this is really, I think for under £30 this is an absolute bargain, because clearly they've already got all of the colour call out and markings shown for you. Whoops, right way up. Look at this, and this is just at 72nd scale. It's absolutely incredible. Look at that. That is a nice support literature, isn't it? To have that showing all the stencils, every single one of them is included. Oh, and actually, it's actually all one. I'm zooming back for this. It's actually all one sheet. I thought it was two. So they've got all the different versions there. They've got first of all, they've got the US Marine Corps, the Wake Island Avengers, VMFA 211, or VMFA 121, the Green Knights, based at Iwakuni. Iwakuni, is that in Japan? Or is that one of the islands? I'm not quite sure. I'm not too good with my geography there. But it's all here. Very nicely depicted, as you can see. Showing all the proper markings, the colourings and the decals. And then on the other side, it's even got inside face of the right vertical stabiliser detail here. And on the other side, it's got the other options. The VMFA 255 Vikings, based at Yuma, which is in the air station at Yuma. So that's is that Arizona? It's Arizona, isn't it? So definitely a wall banzai, it says underneath. That's an interesting marking. And then we've got the dam busters, of course. Operations aboard HMS Queen Elizabeth. I've got to say, however, 617 Squadron, the dam busters are normally based at RAF Marham in Norfolk, in England. And then finally we've got the Italian Navy, the 4th Carrier Air Group. So this is on the carrier ITS Cavour 2021 for the Mare Aperto exercises in May 23. Look at that. So that's pretty up to date, isn't it? Officially licensed by Lockheed Martin. Got to say that is as good as you'll ever see on a 72nd scale kit in terms of showing the colour call-outs and the stencil markings. Really nicely done, that is. Excellent. It does actually exceed what I was expecting, if I'm honest. It really does. Right, well that's that one. We've got the instructions. We've also got, again, typical Tamiya, but you often don't get this at this scale. A nice information leaflet all about the F-35B, the Lightning II, with some nice, albeit in black and white. People do moan about this and say, well, why is it in black and white? I suppose it's just keeping the cost down. But there's several photographs. You've got a complete description about the aircraft. It explains how the lift fans work on this variant, because this is the VSTOL, vertical short takeoff and landing version. And then some more photos over the page. And again, this time, it's actually, I just realised it was in Japanese on the first page. This page is in English, so no problem. Gives you all of the full details about the aircraft. Maximum takeoff weight is 27 tonnes. Wow! 27 tonnes taken off vertically. Can you imagine that? It's incredible, isn't it? I mean, these things are truly amazing, but they are, of course, flying computer. I mean, the computer controls everything. The pilot just selects the attitude he wants, and he doesn't have this manual balancing that they used to have to do with the Harrier, with the little balance fan jet, the roll jets. It was really tricky in the Harrier. I mean, those Harrier pilots were some of the skilled pilots you probably ever meet. In this aircraft, obviously you still have to be a very highly rated pilot, but you don't have as many things to think about because the computer takes over the micro controlling of the jets. It's all done automated. Very impressive though to get that, information leaflet like that in a kit this small. Then we've got some top tech tips, which we won't bother with because that's all basic stuff, obviously. And then we've got our decals, and we have got a staple that I have missed. When I hunted down the staples, I thought this was a bag that was a sealed bag. It's obviously not. I'm going to remove that staple if I can. There we go, it's gone. Let's have a look at these decals then. If I've increased them. No, I didn't. Maybe a tad. But again, they put the staple really close to where the decal is. Instead, they've got about 1.5 inches, 2 inches, and they're going to put it right up against the decal, which is pretty dumb if you think about it when you're trying to remove it. We've got a mask set as well, which I won't bother getting this out because there's not much point. Because of course these Tamiya ones are not pre-cut. He says, just checking it out. Pre-cut, is it? Saying that. I'm going to check that now because I've actually got myself wondering if I'm right or I'm wrong. Let's just have a look. Sorry, let's zoom you back out. See what I'm doing. They are usually not pre-cut, these, and it's the one criticism people have. You just got to faff around cutting it out. I mean, it's not a huge job on this particular aircraft, but it's all time, isn't it? Extra time when if you buy an Edward decal set, they're already cut for you, die cut. So just checking. No, they're not. They're not pre-cut as I thought. They are just. It's like a stencil, isn't it? Really, but you need to cut those yourself. A little bit of a shame. I would like to see Tamiya doing that for you at some point in the future. I'm sure there was one of the kits recently where the stencil was cut, but these aren't. These are definitely not. I'm afraid not. But there we go. So that's your stencil. I'll drop that back in the bag just to get it out of the way. Keep it safe. Zoom in your back. Then we've got the actual decals, and of course you've got a lot of this low vis because you've got the ram tape, and it's interesting that they haven't gone the same way as they did with the 48 scale kit. They haven't actually got a decal, it seems, for the ram tape, which is what they've done previously. So they've just skipped it. They have got some areas where there is a demarcation between the different surfaces and the different ram tape areas. So there is some sort of almost like highlighting it in effect. Here, no step. But it's not like it is with every different section of ram tape being highlighted as it is on the 48 scale version. Here's your Dambusters RAF variant. I mean, there's not a huge difference in these decals. They're very low key, aren't they? Low vis. I suppose that's the nature of the beast. But they are very nice, and you've got your three options here for the different countries. In the lift fan door is where they go, of course. But they maybe look a little bit thinner, these. They don't look quite as pronounced as they often do, which is the big problem with Tamiya decals, of course. That rather irritates a lot of people, I know. I think it depends on what you're doing with them. It doesn't worry me overly. Why is that bigger? It's very odd, isn't it? It doesn't worry me overly, but it does depend on the model. I did have problems on that 32nd scale Spitfire with them being too thick. It was just, there were certain parts of that kit where they wouldn't conform enough, and that gave some problems, predictably, you know. Which is what a lot of people grumble about. Anyway, there we go. So, let's move on. We'll look at the plastic in a few minutes. I'll pop that over there. Let's have a look at our instructions, because I think this is going to be a bit of a treat. I'm just going to grab myself a bit of tea from my Honda mug. Ah, yes, and speaking of which, you're going to hear more about this in the near future. Look at my Honda mug. Honda, the power of dreams. Well, I'm not having much of a dream with Honda at the moment. We're having some major issues with our otherwise very nice motor car. Has developed a fault. I'm not going to tell you the whole story now, but Honda are completely unable on every level to get a grip of actually finding a way to fix it. So I'll tell you more about that in another video. We're going to have a now for something completely different video where I have a proper full-on rant, and I mean rant this time. I'm not going to be all that polite about it because Honda have really dropped the ball. Anyway, I'm not going to tell you too much today. I think it will horrify you, and I don't think they're totally alone either in failing the customer the way that they have. One or two other companies are doing it, but it's just completely bizarre. Anyway, let's have a look at this. So, obviously I don't think the aircraft needs a huge amount of introduction, but there is of course that separate data sheet. In typical Tamiya style, as I say, people do complain a bit about the fact they still don't do it in colour, which would be nice. If they would do that in colour and they would drop those staples and make sure the decal's a bit thinner, that would tick all the boxes of the things that are not quite perfect in Tamiya kits. Very good paint guide though, all their recommended paints. And what we have on the inside here, we have got the two options. So you've got the option of landed with its compressed nose gear leg and main gear, or the hovering version where it's extended. And that is very nice, and the fact that you get a stand is great. Tips about how to apply your masking for your canopy, and then it starts with preparing the upper fuselage and making sure that you pre-paint these areas as indicated. You've got your lift fan there, several areas that you need to pre-paint, and you can see here, as I say, they haven't majored in with the decals anyway. They didn't major on the stealth ram tape, which is interesting. I'm just wondering how you go about that. Whether you would hand pick it out with a brush, a bit tricky, quite a lot of work. It says here, J29 is the radar cross-section enhancers. These are used during basic training exercises, but not in live action or more complex exercises. So you need to decide whether they're added or not. And there they are, they go either side here. Radar cross-section enhancers. So they're basically just lumps on the side to actually make it easier to spot the aircraft. Obviously that's not going to get used in combat. Anyway, moving on. So you're doing the top surface there, obviously. Then you're going to move on to your cockpit tub, which is all kind of one unit, and there's a minimal of sort of little tiny couple of joysticks on either side, basically control sticks, a bit like a computer game, and they drop in, and then you drop that whole cockpit tub just pops in, and you'll come to the pilot and the seat later on, I think, which again is like the 48 scale one if I remember correctly. Then you're going to build up your lower gear bay door for the front nose leg, and your lift fan, the lower lift fan, where it blows out. And then you start to have these choices of whether you want it hovering or landed, with the nose gear leg extended or compressed. Two choices. And you have got, I'm just trying to figure out whether you can have it actually extending, but you can't. It's fixed, the actual leg. What is it? It looks like it might actually. Sorry, I'm going to zoom you in here. Just a bit of a quandary about what I'm seeing, because if you look very closely here, it looks like it actually has a pivot, so you can actually extend it. So it pivots out. So whether you can actually have it movable, I'm not sure. It's possible, I think. It's possible. But of course, if you're going to do that, you'd be going for the extended version, not the compressed version. Then you've got your air intakes coming in just below. Sorry, let's go back. Air intakes coming in below. And then you've got your main engine fan blades that are coming in on the shaft there, because it has this like a prop shaft that drives the lift fan, moves forward, which I think was developed by BAE, wasn't it? Was it BAE? Rolls-Royce, was it? Developed it? I'm trying to remember now the full story. Let me just check that actually, let me just zoom back a second. Pretty sure that there's a story there, isn't there? That was, I remember reading in the original 48 scale version when it gave a bit of history. The VSTOL mechanism. Yes, here we go. Because it's made by a different company. It's made by a British company. I think it's Rolls-Royce, isn't it? I think Rolls-Royce. Was it BAE? Pretty sure anyway that was developed by a British company. The lift fan system. A 3-bearing swivel module mechanism splits the engine duct into 3 sections, connected by bearings, and allows the engine nozzle to be moved in a range from straight rearward at 0 degrees to forward thrust 5 degrees to 5 degrees forward 95 degrees. It is pointed diagonally down for short takeoffs and directly downward for vertical landings and hovering. When it points downwards, the doors of the fuselage underside rear open. Well, they have to, don't they? To make room for the big nozzle to point down. Yes. Very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. Anyway, back to the actual kit. I'll zoom you in. Now you've got your lower fuselage section with the wings all as one piece, of course. And a few holes to drill here. And then you've got these doors. You've got these RCS cross-section enhancers again, option to put those in. Then we've got our painting of the weapons bay. Now this is something that was mighty impressive on the 48 scale kit. Don't think it's any less impressive on this. And then you've got your nozzle base as well for your engine nozzle at the back, your exhaust nozzle. Attaching the weapons bay. Lots of painting to do in that weapons bay. You're going to have to be on your A game with your brush, I think. And then bringing in the spar. It has this central spar which comes in, and again lots of fine detail work. There's a lot of conduits and wires and hoses that you need to paint up. Once you've done that, you bring the top and the bottom fuselage together. You've got your nozzle doors to paint and prepare. Well, you've got some decals to put on those as well. Touching the nozzle doors, they do look groovy, don't they? I mean, this is going to be fun for a 72nd scale kit. It's going to be quite a fun build, I think, and probably a time-consuming and detailed one as well. Lots of preparation, different paints to pre-painting you need to do here. Again, loads of hydraulic piping and electronic conduits to paint. You've got the if you have the engine in the hovering position, you've got your duct pointing down, so you've got the three parts like a clamshell to put in there. Then you've got the final jet nozzle itself with that petal style of end exhaust filaments, and that is going to go in like so if it's going to be in the hovering position. Then you've got your main landing gear wheels. I wonder if we've got weight on wheels. It doesn't seem to indicate it has, which is a shame. But I suppose it's hovering, you don't want that anyway. There might be both options. So there's a landed and a hovering. We'll have to have a look at that. Landed, it might have weight on wheels, you never know. And then you've got the same with the legs, obviously. You've got the landed or hovering options. Extended main gear legs here, and their actuator control arms. And then you've got the main gear doors going in here. And then you've got the roll post doors. This is the roll posts for this is the ducting of the engine exhaust to control roll when it's hovering, which are halfway down the wing just beyond the doors for the main gear. And you've got to attach them. You just got to make sure you pay attention to the angles they should be at. And then you've got the nose gear. And it says here, cut-off is shown to deploy the landing gear. Interesting. So you do in fact rotate it as I suggested. How interesting. And then over here we've got the doors for the main nose gear, and you've got your nose leg and your wheels and tyres, single wheel and tyre on this aircraft. And then you've got the EOTS fairing, all the sensors that are under the nose, and you've got to mask that because it's a clear window, of course. Hovering or landed again depends on whether you have that the scissor action hinge compressed if it's landed, or extended if it's hovering. And then we have got our lower fan doors. So this is the fan doors has got this ducting, like a Venetian blind design, where they angle. Here they are, like the Venetian effect. The vanes, which can duct it backwards or straight down. Then you get your weapons bay, and you've got your AIM 120 AMRAAMs, and quite a lot of decals and stencils to go on here. And you've got your main gear doors, and it has this mounting system which is very clever, so you can put them in one piece and just drop them in. You've got your flaperons here on the main wing, horizontal stabilisers at the tail, and you can have those I think in two positions. Is that right? You can have them in two positions there, have them straight out or in the hovering position with a bit of elevator. And you've also got your slats at the front of the wing, so it's really, I mean, again, it's only 72nd scale kit. You've got a lot of detail here, absolutely incredible. Then we've got our missile launcher rails. Now these are the ones for the beast mode, I think. Yes, they are. These are the beast mode rails that go on the outer lower wing. Obviously, you won't fit those if you're not going to put it in beast mode. And you can have the choice basically, so just remember not to drill the holes then in that case. Then you've got your vertical stabilisers, the twin vertical stabilisers of course, and they're going to go in there. There's quite a lot of stencils around these stabilisers, I've got to say, so be mindful of those. Then finally, toward the end of the build, we're going to build up the pilot's seat, headrests, ejector seat, and then the pilot himself, and you've got several options here, 3 different pilot options in terms of the markings. Looks quite cool, doesn't he? And then that seat just drops in, drop in the seat first, interestingly, and then drop in the pilot last. That's cool, isn't it? Obviously, at least you don't get one of these pilots like you got in the sort of 1970s, which had his legs chopped off, as Airfix and Matchbox used to do. And then you get your main control instrument panel, that drops in on top as well, in a cluster finally near the end. Then you've got your auxiliary air intake main doors. These are the ones at the back, of course. Sorry, this is the auxiliary. Sorry, that's wrong. These are the auxiliary intake doors, the ones that are just behind the lift fan, I should say. And this is to give extra air pressure into the main engine when you're using the lift fan, so that it doesn't get starved of air. Boost the pressure, basically. Quite clever the way they've done this. They've actually split that fan into 2 parts. The top fan, it's actually like a stator, like a guide vane, ducting you could call it. And then you've got your main upper lift fan door, and you've got obviously these different decals, whether it's the UK, American or Italian version, and it's got its lift actuator hydraulic arms there. Then you're going to sort out your canopy and get that masked up. Interesting what the canopy's like, actually. I don't think they haven't tinted the canopy this time. It isn't tinted like it is on the 48 scale version, so you might need to just apply a slight yellow tint. Yes, maybe some spray it with clear that's got yellow tinting in it. Then you've got this absolutely wonderful stand when it's in the hovering position, which I think is a must-have. Really, look at that. I mean, that is just a scaled-down version, like for like, of the 48 scale. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, you can call it scaled down by two steps from the 32nd scale warbirds, like the the Mustang and the Spitfire, etc. There you have it. And if you're going to have it landed, you obviously cover up that access point to where it screws into the body, and that's it. That's your F-35B. Got to say, for a 72nd scale kit, that's pretty impressive, you know. I mean, that doesn't look like the instruction book from a 72nd scale kit, does it at all? Not remotely. So that's very impressive. Let's see the plastic anyway, because that's what you really came for. So, we're going to, no trouble this time, because the bags are already sorted. And here we go. So, so as I said, they haven't given you the, they don't seem to be giving you the decals to actually do the ram tape effect. However, it has been said, and pointed out several times by others, that on the B version, the ram tape on these latest versions is not as overly evident as it was on the early A version. But look at the quality of the actual moulding here. I mean, it's just full on Tamiya. This isn't it. Let's just have a good look at this. Look at that. And then you've got I mean, this is when a manufacturer has got to be on its A game. Something that's so finely detailed and yet relatively small now at this scale. And you can see that they have really nailed it, to be honest. And this ram tape, it's definitely been sort of scaled back. They're trying to achieve scale effect with it, plus the fact, as I mentioned, that it's a bit less extreme, you might say, a bit less overt on this B version anyway. I think it may be true of the C version as well. But you can see that the sculpturing is really nice, but it is very fine. It's almost, not sure if the camera's picking that up. It's quite hard to tell from this range, but they've done that very, very well. Yeah, it's flawless, isn't it? I've got to say that the actual plastic seems a little bit odd to me. It doesn't look like Tamiya's usual shade. It's a bit lighter than what we're used to, I think. So I'm not sure if that's a change of deliberate change of plastic or just a different grade that's come through. Anyway, we'll pop that in there. That was very nice indeed. And these are nice quiet bags, not like the ICM one. Now the lower part, which has got many of the same sort of elements in a way, but it doesn't include the nose section, of course. That comes separately. And here you've got the weapons bay, aperture open. But again, if you look at these ram tape areas, it's done quite subtly, isn't it? It really is. The camera might be struggling a bit here. It doesn't like the grey, I don't think. You know, these ram tape demarcations are much more subtle than what we came to be used to on the A model. Certainly it was noticeable on the 48 scale version. It was quite almost extreme. That's very nice. And on the inside you can see all the location points. There's no ejector pin marks where they shouldn't be. They're all on the inside, which is fine. But that's pretty good, I've got to say. Can't wait to see the rest of it now, because obviously you could argue the aircraft's slightly characterless compared to a lot of others, of course, by its very nature of being stealthy. So this is why people perhaps don't get that excited about this aircraft or the F-22, which I can kind of understand. Here we've got parts of the engine and the nozzle, which looks very, very nice. Look at this. It's so small though, because I'm not used to it at this scale. I think my glasses are struggling, so let's use the 20 times zoom for maximum effect. That is really very, very nice, isn't it? And then you've got this, the mounting for the actual engine. Here's your engine intake blades internal, compressor blades, and then at this end you've got the nozzle in the down hovering position, which obviously is the other side of this one. But isn't that beautiful moulding? Absolutely crisp, almost beyond belief. It's perfect. Okay, that's that one. Then, bear with me one moment, then we have this sprue, which has got the tail planes in it, the vertical stabilisers, and again it's just what you expect from Tamiya. It's very exquisitely moulded, super fine. This plastic is definitely lighter though than I'm used to from them. It doesn't look the same plastic as we got, I don't think, on the 48 scale one. It's like they've got a different grade, probably a different factory. Look at some of the fine moulding detail here. It's pretty impressive, isn't it? That's the weapons bay doors here. Yeah, I like that. Very nice. And obviously these are inserts for the way the tailplanes fit together, and you can guarantee that will fit together like the proverbial Swiss watch stroke jigsaw puzzle. It'll be really, really crisp. Very nice indeed. That's that one. He also comes with a tiny screwdriver. This is actually really for the stand because it has a screw and a sort of a bolt system. Screw and nut, I should say. So that's for that. Again, at 72nd scale, you don't normally get that. I mean, if you're thinking that this cost me under £30, it's pretty premium value, isn't it? Really, can't complain. Is it going to get a 10 out of 10? This it might do. It might do. Look at these. Ooh, this is very nice. Now then, check this out. So here we've got the lift fan blades here, which is very nice. We've got our ducting to the engines, and of course there's no ejector pin marks here at all. Absolutely perfect. You've got the frame here for your canopy. You've got the tub here for your cockpit. It's nice. It's very nice. And we have got the sides of the nose here. Port side, starboard side. We've got the this is the lower half of the lift fan where it blows out underneath. You've got your lift fan entry door, the top door for the lift fan here, which ends up with a. Has that got ejector pin mark in it? Is that just a blemish? It's kind of got an ejector pin mark in it. Or is it just within? It's very, very faint. Can you see it? It's just there, the left side. It's not. It just wants a little rub of the sanding stick. I'm just surprised they put that there. Perhaps they couldn't avoid it. But it's super faint. It's much fainter than normal. So they were obviously very consciously aware they didn't want to make it too obvious. It's okay. I've just realised it's deliberate. They've done it again on me. Deliberate. I had a similar thing with the 48 scale. This goes over it. This is the internal surface. So that ejector pin we just mentioned, subtle as it is, isn't seen anyway because this is the internal cover where you end up with your stars and stripes or Union flag or the Italian tricolour. So don't worry about that. That's not going to count against it. Here we've got the rear nozzle, the petals of the rear nozzle. You've got your gear bay doors, or with their petal sort of shaped stealthy doors. Here is that almost the Venetian blind angle ball blades, which duct the lift fan backwards or straight down. You've got your main gear legs here, and your nose gear leg. And of course there's two versions. I think the other version's on a different sprue. And then you've got various elements. You've got your sort of stator blade, which we talked about. It's in two parts, as you can see, which flow modifies the air coming into the lift fan when the door is open. And there's some absolutely beautiful moulding here. Look at that. It's a nice kit, isn't it? Especially when you think it was under £30 for me. I feel like I've cheated them. I feel like I've robbed somebody. It's too good to be true. Right, that's that one. Zoom you back. So that is very, very impressive. That sprue, flawless. Yeah, I thought we had a problem with ejector pins, and we don't. So this is the same as I had in the 48 scale one when it was on the rear nozzle, and I was saying, oh no, look at these ejector pin marks, that's really bad, without realising it, it's shrouded with three parts. It's the same on here, you're about to see it actually, same thing's about to come up. So I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. Here's the shrouding that I just mentioned. You can see here in the dead centre of the picture, this is the shroud I just alluded to. So it actually covers the area that's got the ejectors on it. And they've basically it looks to me like they've rolled this out and copied pretty much what they did with the 48 scale kit. Look at those beautiful, look at the nozzle, the petals on the nozzle. The ultimate exhaust nozzle, that is amazing. Oh, and again, more of these shrouds, sort of internal cowlings around the engine bell, where it rotates at the back. And then you've got these are the doors here for that nozzle, and they're all made in the internal and external fitting so that the actual angle is set for you. You see what I mean? So you don't have to worry about getting the doors, gluing them on at the right angle. That pivot there, the sort of hinge, that's already set for you, so you don't have to worry about it. Brilliant. Here you've got, this is the missile launching rails, and this is this single piece, so that again it just drops in with perfect alignment. Over here you've got your stand. It looks quite familiar, doesn't it, in two pieces, that piece and that piece. One slots over the other, very cleverly done. That'll give a really solid join. Here's the rest of the stand here, the main neck of the stand, so to speak. You've got your AMRAMs here, absolutely brilliant, and your Sidewinder air-to-airs here. I think they are a version of the Sidewinder on the later versions. I think is it Sidewinder X, is it? And then you've got part of your internal sparring, or bulkhead I should say, there. This is the mounting point here for the actual where the stand actually goes into the body. That's where it screws in with the screw and the screwdriver. And then you've got the cowls that go over the lower. Is it the lower door? It's the lower door, isn't it? For the lift fan. Absolutely brilliant. Or is that the lower door for the lift fan? I think this is the front lift fan doors. I've just been showing you actually. So obviously you've got two lots of doors. It's a little bit confusing, but that is absolutely stellar, isn't it? You've got the wheels, main gear wheels and tyres there, and they're in two halves. That doesn't have weight on wheels. I don't know if the other one does. Looks like it doesn't, so they're really aiming it at the hovering sort of market, shall we say. But what a lot of beautiful moulding, you know. I mean, look at those. You'll never see better, really, not in the current world, current technology. Absolutely wonderful. Really, really gorgeous stuff. And even if you're not a fan of the F-35, I think this is the one to have, because it just has that animation and action, and it's got a vibrancy about it, hasn't it? It sort of stirs the imagination a little bit more than just the standard one. Okay, so this is the one where I'm going to have to cut my way in, because, interestingly, they haven't gone for the usual bias with staplers in, which is really strange. Bear with me a second. Weird. That's done. You have to use a knife on a Tamiya bag. And here we go. So here we've got the nose section and the main front nose wheel gear bay, as you can see clearly there, and some lovely detail here. Absolutely superb. This is kind of the internal section, which is cut. It works by having the outer nose sort of clamshells around it on both sides. Then over here we've got our, I think it's the alternative gear legs. I mentioned obviously there's one version for extended and one version for hovering versus compressed, landed I should say. Then we've got, these are the doors I was looking for at the back, when you've got your, sorry, no, they're not the doors, sorry, beg your pardon. Talking rubbish. These are actually the horizontal stabilisers. You can see it's got an insert here, and that is the insert. So they insert like so, and give you your elevators basically, aren't they? And you've got your weapons, sorry, I should say the flaps, front flaps for the wing there underneath. Then you got your weapons rails here, and you have your pilot. Here he is, pilot in 70-second scale. Isn't that nice? Complete with helmet and oxygen mask, and his arms. Look at that. That's a lot of detail. That's, yeah, for a 72nd scale, that's very impressive. Very, very impressive indeed. And then over here you've got your main spar, internal spar for the wing, inside the wing, and you've got all these. This is where you've got to be on your A game. Look how tiny these wires and conduits, electrical conduits are. And it asks you to paint them, you know. So this is the only downside when you've got areas that are already pre-moulded. Just make the painting a bit of a challenge. Now then, there's your pilot's seat and the combing of the instrumentation as well. Complete with this headrest there in the bottom right. You've got various tiny parts here, some really small stuff, I have to say. Look at that. Proper small. And got the couple of internal bulkheads, one on each side. And that's pretty much that sprue, I'd say now. You've seen all of that. Just have another closer look at these, the gear doors. Gear legs, I mean. The front gear leg, this is the compressed one, I think, and that's the main gear leg compressed. And that just remains for us to have a look at the clear parts, which are always pretty nice on Tamiya, aren't they, to be honest? Let's just pop that in there. They're always good. Here we are. And we've got rid of the staples, so we're all good, and of course, well up to its usual standard. Now there is a seam line on this, but it's intended on the F-35. There is a little seam, I think, that runs down the centre, I'm right in saying. The F-35 aficionados amongst you can shout up if that's wrong. I think I'm right in saying that. And the reason I say that is because the seam line is not running all the way down the canopy. So it makes you realise it's kind of intentional, not accidental. It only runs up the rear half, above the pilot's head, not on the windscreen section. Can you see that? Isn't that beautiful? There's your ETOS sensor array, which you need to mask off very carefully here. And I think this is part of the stand, isn't it? This clear part here. And then you've just got a couple of lights, and that's kind of it, really. But that canopy is beautiful. Look at that, that's a nice piece of clear part. Yeah. You see that seam line? I think it's supposed to be there pretty much, certainly. So there you have it. Very nice clear parts, as always. You know, it's Tamiya, isn't it? I think 72nd scale, it's exceptional, really. We're not talking about a big kit here. They've really nailed it. They've really nailed it, I think, to be honest. Some team. So where am I at with that then? I've got to be honest, I think it's... are there any things I didn't like? I mean, the only criticism you would level at it, and this is being really, really picky, you could argue that maybe it should have a weight on wheels option, because I don't think we have that, didn't we, as such. I'm just going to double check as I flick through it. That's definitely not got weight on wheels there. Just in case I missed something else elsewhere. Don't think it has. No, it hasn't. That's just the nose wing. So, in terms of its sort of the details that are in the kit, I think it's absolutely fantastic, to be honest. And I like the way it's got slightly subtler ram tape, because I think that would have looked ridiculous if they, as some manufacturers have done. I haven't actually examined the Italeri one, but I think that's a bit over the top. And I think they've gone and realised to make it to give it proper scale appearance than it needed toning down. And it is more toned down on the B model anyway these days, the latest production. I think it's a 10 out of 10. Literally, I'm not just saying that because I'm a Tamiya fan, blah blah. It's flawless, that. It's absolutely flawless. The only things you've got to watch out for is, obviously we've got to check the decals. They do seem thinner to me, those. They don't seem that chunkiness that they often have about them. They seem quite subtle. And you will need to obviously maybe apply a tint to the windscreen. Maybe they could have done that for you, but that would have just raised the price of the kit a bit more. I think for under £30, I think that's a definite 10 out of 10 kit. No question. 10 out of 10 Tamiya, well done. You seem to be able to, they really have aced the F-35. I don't really understand, if I'm honest, the likes of Revell doing one. I can understand that apart from the starter set, Airfix haven't done one. I think that's probably wise. I don't think there's any point, is there? I mean, they've just closed the book on the F-35 as far as I can see, because they've got the C coming through, haven't they? They've got it at 48 scale C is coming through. No doubt they'll go and do it at 72nd as well. So that's really it. I don't see where the likes of Italeri and the Revels of this world, don't really see the point of it other than just saving a few pounds. The price I paid for that, I paid £29.99, and I'm delighted with it. I've got to be honest. You won't get a better kit than that for £30. You won't. Yes, you can get bigger kits for £30. You pick up a Revell Tornado or something like that, but you won't get a better one. Not at that price. Not at that price. Everything about it has been carefully considered and engineered to the nth degree. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I recommend it to you. So that's my verdict. It's 10 out of 10 from me. Hope you'll give me a 10 out of 10 with a thumbs up and like, please. All helps the channel. That's it for now. We have another review or two to come through soon. I'm also wanting to have a bit of a rant and rave about my car, which is going to be something, and now something completely different. You're going to probably not believe your ears when I tell you the story, but anyway, stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you found it interesting. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to comment. We always read all your comments, and I enjoy taking part in a bit of a chat with quite a lot of you. So thanks for that. Till next time then. Thanks for all your time watching the video. Till we meet again, look after yourselves. Thanks a lot, and bye for now.